The evidence has become irrefutable that there are gender clinics doing more than just helping people who come to them. They're kind of actively promoting the transgender lifestyle. Now, you know, each to their own if you're an adult, but these surgeries are being performed on children. And it's grotesque. I mean, we could not even describe what goes on, but it is going on. Now, this is a study from the University of California, San Francisco, showing a disturbing number of underage girls as young as 12 years old that have been subjected to life-altering changes to their bodies. Senator Alex Antic, the Liberal senator from South Australia, who I know you know is a straight shooter on these things, and he has a proposal before the Parliament, essentially a prohibition bill. And along with other senators, Conservative senators, he wants something done so this does not just sort of keep on happening. Bizarre that we even have to be talking about this.
Look, it is a bit, and those numbers you spoke of are pretty telling as well. There's also a fivefold increase in kids just getting puberty blocker drugs, and I say just, I mean that's pretty significant as well. That has potentially has permanent ramifications as well. So this is spread out all over the country. It's variable between state, but kids are one way or another being, I guess, taken through this process in circumstances where it's, my personal view, I know the views of a lot of Australians that really it should just be left and treated as a sort of a symptom of childhood and, in the psychological sense as well, rather than having this drastic intervention, which we are now seeing in Australia and through other parts of the world, having these consequences of detransitioners coming forward. And it's, of course, as you said, quite prevalent in the United Kingdom with the Tavistock Clinic issue, but also we're seeing it here now. There was a show on Channel 7, Spotlight, a month or so ago, which was pretty harrowing viewing, which talked about these sorts of issues and the regret some of these kids have having gone down this path, having been allowed to go down this path. So my view is it's time for federal parliament to step in and to put a moratorium on these procedures, surgeries and drugs until kids are 18 at the very least, and then from there things look a bit different. We all know what that's like, getting through your early teens into your early adulthood. Things change very, very rapidly, and I just think it's the prudent course of action.
See, I look at it in a very simple way. This is the Parliament doing what its job should be, to protect the kids. Because if society won't, then the Parliament has an obligation to step in and ensure that it happens. I think that is your motivation. And this conversation now, I can see it. It'll be sliced up, taken out of context. There'll be things that will be done to what we are talking about right now to try to portray both of us as people who have a problem with people who do this in their lives. I don't. Do it. If it's what your choice is, once you're an adult, do it. But you're a kid, you wait.
Yeah, spot on. And I mean, of course, there are so many examples of ways in which the government does put those, restrictions on kids. Of course, you can't drink until you're 18. You can't vote until you're 18. You can't smoke. There's a range of things that we say, look, you need to wait until you're an adult to do. And, it seems to me to be extraordinary that this is one of those things that can, in certain circumstances, be allowable. I just don't think it should be allowable ever, in my own personal view. There is a time for Parliament to step in and protect kids, and I say this is it. This bill would do it. It's in its fairly early stages. It was introduced about this time last week into the Parliament, and it was co-sponsored by Senator Matt Canavan from Queensland National Party, Senator Ralph Babbitt from the UAP in Victoria, and Senator Malcolm Roberts from One Nation in Queensland. So not only is it a multi-party push, but it's also a push from all over the country. I think we're all on the same page on this one.
I'm curious about it. What's the reaction on the other side? I mean, what does the government say about this? Put aside the Greens. We know what the Greens say. We actually don't care what the Greens say. But what does the government say about it?
Well, look, I haven't had an opportunity to come to a formal position yet. I suspect that they'll look at it with pretty dim view of it. But we want to get it to the floor of the Senate so there can be a vote. We want to get it to hopefully to a committee hearing as well, so we can get the evidence of some of these people, some of the people that are involved at the coalface, because I just don't think we are talking about this enough. And the fact that that show was on Channel 7 was a huge surprise and a really good thing, I think, to raise awareness about the plight of some of these kids, these detransitioners who have all these regrets.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a little insight. I worked at Channel 7 while the show was being put together, and I have a little insight to the enormous pressure that went on to try to stop this going there. Such is the power. And, again, we keep hearing over and over, this is such a small group of people. Why are you so obsessed with it? I don't even think this is an obsession. But I tell you what is an obsession is shutting down discussion about this.
Yeah, well, look, that's right, and I expect that will probably be the case, but that doesn't mean we don't try. And of course, we have to do what's right. I think this is the right call. I think this is the sensible and safe call. And I think, if there were to be protections like this in Parliament, then I think that'd ultimately be a good thing for kids. And as you say, people want to do that once they're an adult. Well, that's their business, and no one wants to stand in the way of that. But we've got to protect the kids. We've got to make sure that there are guardrails around them until they are at a point where they can make decisions for themselves.